conversation down. I have joining me Ni Ayi Solomon, who is the host of our Root and Route here on here on Z Multimedia, and also Michael Afolabi, who usually joins us for our news review. He's a very brilliant guy when it comes to governance and what we need to be doing as a nation. And these are the gentlemen going to help me have this conversation this morning. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Very well.
I'm doing very well too.
Awesome. How's the holiday going?
I think the rains have started it well for us, giving us
is it raining?
The rains of yesterday.
Okay.
It has given us a cool weather to stay in bed a little longer and then enjoy the holidays. So.
Right.
Yeah, slow and easy. Very cozy.
Yeah, very cozy holiday.
It was good the rains came in yesterday.
Right. I hope it doesn't rain today though, because I know at the Black Star Square they're having the Muslim prayers.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope the weather stays
clear like that. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's get into our conversation. We're talking Ghana Month. We've all been hearing Ghana Month. We celebrate it within the month of March. And then when we are done, it feels like there's nothing after that. Maybe we should start a conversation from the basics. What really is the essence of the Ghana Month celebration? Yeah.
Well, in my view, I think that's largely because, first of all, Ghana gained her independence in 1957, exactly 6th March. And so because of that, the month of March is actually seen to be a Ghana month, just basically because of that, we gain an independence on that particular day. And I feel that the idea, whoever brought the idea, is a very good one, and because throughout the whole year, there isn't a space to celebrate Ghana. If you check, we celebrate all kinds of things. 1st December, I think, is Farmers' Day. We celebrate all kinds of things. So it's also very important for us to celebrate ourselves as a republic state. So I think that is how come the month of March was put aside to celebrate Ghana. And I mean, it's a very significant one, a very, very important one. And I'm happy that we're able to put something like that
together. Right. Mike, what do you also think?
Well, like my brother Nia said, since we gained independence in 1957, it's good that we always remember how far we've come as a country. So aside the Independence Day celebrations on 6th of March with a parade, it has become necessary that we even carry it throughout the month. Like the way, in February, like you mentioned, he said, we celebrate other things. In February, we celebrate Valentine's Day to the extent that now people take the whole February as the month of love.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with celebrating the whole of March as Ghana month. It's reminding us of our history, reminding us of our heritage, and of course, giving us a reason to focus on the future of how we can contribute to making our nation better. So it's very, very necessary.
It's very necessary. But do you think we are staying true to that?
I think we are trying. I mean, this year, something that I've seen that was very significant was that I saw that churches were also part of the celebration, where churches were organizing Ghana Day. Okay. People were dressed in their traditional attire or regalia and were going to church. Some were dressed as Wolomeo. It felt really good and heartwarming to know that the appreciation of Ghana has even gotten to that level. And for me, I wish that we can take it a much more higher, because there are two countries that when I travel to, every time I'm in those two countries, I can just tell that they are so proud of their heritage. And there is some sense of identification when you go there. Togo, Benin in particular, you see them dressed in their up and down, everywhere you pass. Once you get there, you see that these are Benin ones. Wow. They dress in their traditional attire and all the time. That shows who they are. And even Nigerians, you see a Nigerian president, you hardly see a Nigerian president dressed in suit and tie. They are always wearing their 3Ps and all of that, and that is what gives them some identity. I feel that as a country, we have lost it. We've lost our identity. We've lost our place. And so Ghana Month, for me, I think that we should take it a bit further and let us know that in the month of March, we wear Ghana. No suits, no shirts. Everything, if you're wearing a shirt, is an African print. You know, it's a Ghanaian print, ATL. You know, let's wear Ghana. So that anybody who comes into the country in the month of March is asking, what's happening? Everywhere I pass, people are wearing prints. Women are in kaba and sleets, going to their office in the morning. People are wearing, so buy the African print, so all kinds of design for the month of March. I wish that businesses can tell all the employees for the month of March, no European dressing to the office. You have to look authentically Ghanaian, and that will push us a bit further. And it even opens up the economy, because what that means is that the fashion designers are going to get more jobs to do. They are going to get more things to sew. Akosombo Textiles Limited has to come up with all kinds of print. And they can even decide that, listen, for the month of March, this is the print we have come out with, different variety of prints, you know, same as Woodin, all these people, you know. So for me, I think we have to push it a bit further.
So we're not seeing a lot from your view. We're not seeing so much.
I don't think so. I think we are trying, especially from, I don't know when this whole Ghana Man thing started, but I think that this year I've seen some improvement. You know, especially having the churches get involved is heartwarming. Yeah.
I see. Michael, I see you nodding a lot of times.
Yes.
You have something to add.
I think for the Ghana Month, what I know is it started, a media house started it. I don't know if I'm permitted to mention it, but I think the City Group, in somewhere 2008, 2009, they started something, the concept of the Heritage Month. Right, to celebrate Ghana throughout the whole month. And then their Heritage Caravan. Since then, we've seen a lot of media houses pick it up. Right, they've picked it up and brought it this far. Let's go back to something like the Friday wear. How did it start? The Minister of Tourism then, somewhere 2004, the late Jacob Echebi Lamte, declared that every employees, everyone should wear a Friday wear or an African print on a Friday. And that was how it started. So I believe that it's about time government actually takes it personal. Because we are talking about our history. We are living in an era where there's a lot of information about Ghana's history that we don't know what is true and what is false. Some say Kwame Nkrumah is not the founder and all that. I don't want to go into that conversation. But if governments can take a stand through Parliament and say, look, every month of March, every year, we are going Ghana. We are going to go
very
a long
strictly.
way. Very, very, very strictly. Right? It's going to do so much more for us than what we are doing. Because right now it looks like, okay, it's March. Let's just pick one day and then try something. You know, that is what, apart from those who do it throughout the month, a lot of others, like the companies who do, they just select a day and decide to. But we should put some premium on it so that the whole month we are doing Ghana, right? And it's really going to help us. Like my brother said, the economy of this country is going to develop a lot because the sale of African prints and all that. Just that I would only like to encourage those who sell, especially our smokes and all that, to reduce the prices during the month.
Exactly. So I was coming to that. You're advocating that the whole month we should be wearing Ghana, but people are saying that locally made products are very expensive.
That's true.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's not just product. Even traveling within Africa is expensive. You know, I don't know. I would spend so much money going through Africa than going through Europe. You know, so I don't know why these. I don't know. But if we really want to put together a law to push this, then these artisans and all these people have to also be spoken to.
Some regulations.
So that it's not like it's a time for you to cash in, but it's a time for people to patronize what you have. And so if there is a way you can calm down your prices and stuff, the fugu and all these things, and it will help. And I think that if we push it, if there is a law, like he said, that would help us a lot. Because if there's a law in Ghana that in the month of March, all restaurants, all pubs, all whatever, in fact, every DJ, the music you play must just be strictly Ghanaian for the month of March.
But do you think that is realistic?
I think to some extent it will be realistic because if it comes to music, Ghanaian music ranges from Afrobeat to reggae to now you're projecting your own people to your own people. So I feel like a lot of people, I have traveled every region in Ghana because of what I do as a professional guide. And I can tell you, when people tell me that there's nothing nice in Ghana, there's no place nice in Ghana, I tell them, have you traveled Ghana? Have you? Because once you haven't seen the destination, you can't boast of the destination, because the destination itself is not even promoting herself. And so the destination outside of Ghana that are promoting themselves, people know about them and people want to go to those places. You understand? Yeah. And so if we can project ourselves, promote ourselves, trust me, it would come to stay. That now everybody knows that, Charlie, in the month of March, when you visit our restaurant, there's nothing European. Everything we do is Ghanaian. And we'll find different varieties of Ghanaian food that we can serve to people that people may not have tried. But during Ghana month, they may have gone to a certain restaurant, eating a certain type of Ghanaian food that, you know, they otherwise. Recently, I was eating a buka, and the guy was like,
"What's that?"
Buka restaurant,
Buka,
yes,
okay.
as Osu. Yeah. And then the guy who was serving us, I was with some foreigners. I was like, you need to try moi moi. I'm like, listen, man, I have food phobia. I don't eat new things. So, Charlie, try this one. So I said, okay, let them bring moi moi and some kelewele to the table. See, everybody on the table liked the moi moi. Wow. All the white people, like they were rushing for it. You know, and I tried it and it was nice.
It was nice.
So if in Ghana month you are pushed to try something you've never tried before, you eat at a certain restaurant that, you know, for now there is no all these European things that let's do something authentically Ghanaian. And for me, I think that would push the whole agenda even to another level.
Mike, you have something?
Yes, it's very, very true. I mean, how is Nigerian music, Nigerian culture, Nigerian food so popular? It's because they project themselves.
Okay.
Right? They do well to make sure that everyone hears of them. When you go to Nigeria, you listen to strictly Nigerian music, Nigerian food. Like my brother mentioned, the way they dress and everything. They are projecting themselves every single day. Right? And why can't we do same? You see, we have to really take the initiative and put it upon ourselves that, look, we are taking Ghana forward. We are putting Ghana on the map. So many things. We've done so many things that the world has, you know, gotten to hear about. And we have to project it. Yeah. Right? So we have to really take it serious.
You know, like I used to be a consultant for a very big restaurant at Sakumono. I consulted for it and managed it for a while. And the chef I had was a Togolese chef. So I just told him that, you know what, let's introduce Pinot on the menu. The owners did not know what Pinot was. I told them, listen, let's introduce Pinot on the menu. We introduced Pinot on the menu. We started telling people that we have Pinot.
What was that?
And guess what? People started liking, like when people come, they want to order for Pinot. Pinot is an advanced version of Gari Foto. So this is Gari that is cooked in turkey sauce or chicken sauce. Okay. You know, and when you do it nicely, it's like eba. But this one is cooked in a sauce. So if it's a stew, chicken stew or turkey stew, you cook it in it. And then you garnish it nicely and you can have some chicken to go with it. Wow. And it tastes like, if you eat Pinot, you don't even know that you're eating Gari. And the last place I ate Pinot recently was Aqua Safari. That one, they cooked it in turkey sauce. And it was so tasty that when you eat it, you know. And so these are things.
And it's a Ghanaian thing?
It's a Togolese dish, but Ghana, Togo, we are one people. Because once you know Gari Foto, Pinot is another version of Gari Foto, except that this one is like the Eba style. Yeah. You know, so there are so many dishes in Ghana, ayikple and all those things. If we don't do it, people don't try it. See, yes, okay, this is another way. But there was a fair yesterday at
the
AMA. Look at the crowd that went there to just go and eat Ghanaian food. Look at the crowd. So can you imagine if you push this Ghana month on another level and say, Charlie, all restaurants in Accra, if you can, 90% of the dishes you serve in the month of March should be Ghanaian. Go, let your chefs go and learn some new Ghanaian things that they don't know. Trust me. And when people, and in the month of March, your menu is different from what you serve. So once they pick the menu, everything is all Ghanaian that is there. It will shock you that people will even start begging you to put them on your main menu for outside of March.
Right.
So, I mean, we have to push the agenda to another level.
Well, exactly 8:55, and we have just 5 minutes to the top of the hour. This is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Ni Trebi Hammond. And this morning, I'm having a conversation with Ni Ayi Solomon, who is the host of our Root and Routes conversation here on Business, here on Z Multimedia, and also Michael Afolabi, who also joins us usually for our news review. And this morning, we're talking about the Ghana Month. Is it really fulfilling its purpose? Why was it created, and how far have we come? And is it really something that we are embracing as a nation? So you can join the conversation. You can send us a text on 0544321019, on WhatsApp 0544321019. We'll do well to read it, share your thoughts with us. Also engage us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH, and we'll do well to read your comments accordingly. Right, gentlemen. Now, do you think that Ghanaians are embracing our culture? Because I believe that one of the reasons why we have Ghana Month is to instill some national pride. From what we've observed, do you think Ghanaians, especially the younger generations, are embracing their heritage in a deeper way beyond just social media? Michael?
Well, it's sad to say that it is not the case. You know, with the impact of globalization, where today you can easily follow whatever is happening in Europe, whatever is happening in Asia, right where you are in Ghana here. It's becoming increasingly difficult for our younger generation to enjoy our culture, right? Because today, tell a Gen Z, right? That's how they call them. Tell a Gen Z you are taking them to witness Hugbechocho Festival in the Volta. They wouldn't like to go.
Most of them will not be interested.
But tell them maybe a concert exactly involving some foreign artists is coming to Ghana, and they'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
You follow TikTok and then you check the trends. They are always dancing to foreign, music, dance challenges and all that. You rarely see them patronizing our culture.
Yeah.
But there's so much to see, right? There's so much to see. So we need to take that step to make our culture more visible so that these younger ones they have inquiring minds.
Yeah,
they like to know. So the more we project our culture, the greater the opportunity for them to ask about it. What is this? What dance is this? What local food is this? What tourist attraction is this in Ghana? As they see it, they'll be interested in going there. Yeah. They'll be interested in taking part in those challenges. We should have embrace the opportunity social media also gives us to take advantage and organize these challenges and all that. Maybe a dance challenge, a Ghanaian dance challenge, a Ghanaian music challenge, a Ghanaian look challenge, so that we can give that Ghanaian vibe, so that it stays with us, even not just in the month of March, but throughout the year and even beyond. So I believe when we do that, we will. But
what do you think the problem is coming from? I mean, you highlight the fact that a lot of young people are not interested in the cultural stuff. The problem is it because we are not publicizing Ghana Month properly? Is it from the shift towards modernization, or what exactly is the problem? Ni?
I think that it's just maybe a sheer lack of interest that is also, arising from the fact that we are not telling our story enough, because my PhD work is in storytelling, and one of the things I've come to realize is that there is no policy on story preservation. There's no policy on cultural preservation, and all these are actually making the new generation, not getting interested in some of these things. For example, our language is actually eroding. Yeah, it's washing away seriously, because find out from the Gen Zs today how many of them can speak their languages impeccably. The Ga language, the Ewe language, the Asante, the Ekuapim, we have anglicized everything. So parents are speaking English with their children. The children grow up and they can't speak the local language because these days we live in homes with walls. When I was growing up, okay, fine, your parents will speak English with you at home, but when you come back from school, you are in somebody's house on the park playing.
Skitty Beno.
Minkebo, Akebo, no. You know, like you're playing. So, Obanake, Ganyemo, Keje, Ganyopo Jiboe. Once somebody is speaking to you, the boys are all speaking Gan, you pick it.
Yeah.
But when you come, like my children, my two daughters, they live in the house. When they come back from school, they don't go anywhere. So it's a school they play in, so they are speaking their so there is a major gap there that if we don't fill this gap ASAP, you know, we are going to have a big problem. So somebody like me, recently I was on another platform and I came in touch with somebody from the Gamanche Palace, and I've told them that I want to become a student of the palace.
Right.
So I'm traveling this week, but when I come back from my trip, that's one of the things I'm going to do. I want to spend a lot of time in the Gamanche Palace to understand being a Ga, our culture, our heritage. How do we do things as Ga people? So that one day when my children are asking me these questions, I have proper answer to give them. So that level of curiosity must go down generation. And I have decided and told myself that my children will learn a lot more about who they truly are.
Right.
See, a lot of the African Americans that come to Ghana, they come with a broken heart and a shattered dream and a lost identity because they don't know any place as home.
Right.
Most of the slaves were taken from Burkina Faso, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, all around the place. They do their DNA, half is showing Ghana, half is showing Togo, half is showing everywhere. They come here coming to look for their... And there's nothing like losing your true identity where you're an Equiapim and you can't speak your language. All you speak is Chi and Ga. And you can't speak your mother tongue. Like there's nothing like... so I think that the erosion of our history and people not being curious about it and learning a lot about our culture and all of that is one of their major problems. So people feel it's much more cooler if you wear a baggy jeans and a nice hoodie, you know, than dressing. I went for a promotion interview and I was wearing a new kaftan that has been sewn for me. I felt like, Charlie, let me show up Ghanaian instead of wearing a suit. And during the interview, one of the panels, a woman said, "Why are you dressed like this?" And of course, it's a promotion interview, so you have to watch yourself. But other than that, you don't get promoted. So I said, "Why are you dressed like this? But what you're wearing is not fit for an interview like this." Then I said, "Okay, I'm sorry, but I felt that this was African." I mean, he said, no. Next time you're coming to and a promotion interview like this, you should wear a suit and a tie. In Ghana, our brains are around the bend. There's a problem. There's a fundamental problem, and that's why I'm saying that we should use Ghana Month to fix some of these fundamental problems. Before, I'm sure it will be an offense for a banker to go to work wearing like he's wearing a very nice African print. But with the introduction of Friday wear, now it's become normal.
That's true.
I remember I spent a lot of time because we had over 200 international tourists that had arrived in the country at the Moving Peak. And I was pleasantly surprised to see all the workers at Moving Peak wearing African print.
Wow.
The restaurant, everywhere, they are tied their hair, the ladies were in their cabin. This is what we want to see. You see? So that when the foreigners come in, the way we've dressed attracts them. And funny enough, most of them like the way we dress when we dress in our traditional attire.
That's very true.
Than when we wear, because this they've seen in Europe and everywhere they've been. But when they come and they see you wear your up and down kaftan and your cap and all, they like it. They take photos of you and they saw the same thing.
Yeah, and they wear those stuff here too when they come.
Yes. They love to wear it.
So Ghana Month is really supposed to solve this particular problem.
Yeah. If it can, it can.
So you were making a point about the government not really getting involved, and that's a problem. What should government do?
I think government should, going forward, look at law and policy side of things. Right. At the beginning, I think in February, the Tourism and Creative Arts Ministry launched Ghana Month, Ghana Heritage Month. How much did we? We didn't see anything about it. You understand? We didn't see anything about it. And it's partly because of the fact that there is no law or there's no policy surrounding this Ghana Month thing, so that everyone feels a part of it, from the least important, from the ordinary citizen to the highest, even to the president, right? So we should have a law that entrenches this Ghana Month idea, so that we don't only have it in our media houses as they being the ones projecting it, in our schools, even in school, if possible, throughout the month, maybe because it is an academic institution and they have to wear a uniform, maybe every Friday, or no, a day outside Friday. Throughout the month, we are wearing something Ghanaian. Maybe at a certain point during class, we are going to have a cultural display by this group or that group. I believe that when we have a law or we have policy that is driving it, like the way we do our chocolate, our National Chocolate Day. Now, 14th February, if you are not able to celebrate love due to singleness like myself, you can chew chocolate, because it's also National Chocolate Day, right? Because government has taken it personal and has put effort into creating a policy to advance it. The same thing we can do with our Ghana Month, right?
But do you think, don't you think it's because it's a month-long celebration, that is why we're not seeing? Because all the events that we do, and it's just a day, we see some significance, we see some attention giving to it. Is a month too long?
No, I don't think it's too long to celebrate a country like Ghana. I mean, we can't choose a day or two to celebrate us. So a month long is good. We just have to come up with very good activities, advertise these activities. For example, the Ghana Tourism Authority did something at the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum that was highly patronized. With so many people there. They did some food, Taste Ghana, 66 dishes from Ghana.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was highly patronized. I was there. And it was free. You eat, you taste. And it was nice. And then they even had a celebrity area where I saw a few celebrities there. Chami Kwame and other people were there to cook. So that was a very highly successful event organized by the Ghana Tourism Authority. These are most of the things we are looking at doing. For example, they could, aside of the 66 dishes thing they did, they can also do a big fashion show where we show Ghana clothings and all of that, and encourage people that in the month of March, all we are wearing is Ghanaian. So that so that we can, because see, most of the time we feel that Ghanaians are not interested. It's not true. Ghanaians are interested.
Very, very true.
They are very, very interested. Look at the Heritage Caravan organized by City. It's all overly subscribed every time.
Every time.
So Ghanaians are interested. If you organize it, you publicize it, and you whip up their interest, they would come. They will show up. The Friday where nobody thought it would have been successful, I think to some extent it's even moved beyond Fridays, because there are people who wear African print almost all the time. So it means if we make it a policy and we push it, and we push it and push it and push it, it would come to stay. It would really come to stay. Yeah.
I think if it becomes a policy, what Niaye encountered going for the promotional interview wouldn't have happened.
That's true.
You see,
that's true.
They would have seen that, yes, okay, so it's Ghanaian to wear a kaftan to a job interview, and there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of our culture is still anglicized. When you go to the courts, the legal profession, they still wear, the justices still wear
the wig
and everything. Meanwhile, when you go to other parts of the world, they've moved on from the wig and the gown.
I think even Burkina Faso recently, moved away from the gown.
They've moved on from the wig and the gown. Why are we still doing it? Right? I believe for that, there has been some conversation around it. Some professors of law have written on why they feel we should move away from that colonial dressing. But other areas are also still being, should I say, still having the situation where their culture, the Ghanaian culture, is eroding from such places. And we need policy, we need programs, we need more activities to bring us back on track. Because Ghana is all we have, right? Our culture is everything.
So if even lawyers could, maybe just in the month of March,
when going to court
to wear some African and African princess.
It's doable.
It's doable. And we have to move away from the colonial mentality.
Yeah.
You've become independent. You are 68 years. So why can't you stand on your feet? And for me, that is why I'm supporting what is happening in the Sahel regions, where Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are doing their own thing. Because they realize that, Charlie, this colonial mentality has to go away.
Right.
We have to take charge of our destinies and do things in our own way. So as a country like Ghana, we should be able to move away from some of these colonial thinking and start thinking on our feet for ourselves, for our own people. Otherwise, Charlie, our culture would wash away. And the funny thing is that they'll tell you your culture is not good, but they like it. They come and borrow elements from it, and they're using bits and pieces of it. But you sit here and think that everything that you're doing is wrong. So I even tell people that, listen, I'm a Christian. I profess Jesus as my Lord and personal Savior. Like it's everything I have.
Right.
But you have to learn to distinguish between religion and tradition. There's a difference between that, because even in Jesus' era, he had Jewish culture, Jewish tradition. So and culture is a way of life, the way we do things. So why do we always have to copy other people? Fine, if people came to introduce us to their way of life, now before you couldn't do anything by yourself because you were under them, but now you are independent.
Right.
So think about yourself and look at things that will make you authentically unique. And do it. That's why I like Benin and Togo. Charlie, when you go to Togo, daytime, you see a woman with cloth, wrapped around. That is their culture. You see a man with a cloth. He's wearing trousers, all right, but he has a cloth around. It's their culture. You see Benin, when you go, you see them wearing their piece, their cloth up and down, with the pockets on the side. That is their culture. Everybody on the streets. So once you come there, you are pushed to sew and dress the way they dress.
Right.
So Ghana doesn't have an identity. Honestly, we don't have an identity. We don't. And so we have to start creating an identity for ourselves. Where now, once somebody enters into our country and parades the streets of Accra, they should be able to see that, no, these are Ghanaians.
Right.
Oh, look at the way they are dressed. Oh, wow, these are Ghanaians. There are few things that you can identify. Oh, our hospitality, we are very hospitable, and which has become like our birthmark now. But we can create other special identities that would push us global.
Very important. Right. 13 minutes after 9. This is a business breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nietzsche B. Hammond. And this morning, we're having a conversation around the Ghana Month celebration. Today is 31st of March, which means that we are wrapping up the month-long celebration. And the question we're asking is that, is it fulfilling its purpose, the original idea, the original intent? Is it really fulfilling that? And I have in studio with me Ni Ayi Solomon, who is the host of Root and Route here on Z Multimedia, and also Michael Afolabi, who is a news review pundit who joins us from time to time to have these conversations. Now, Ni, you are into tourism. I'm coming to ask you a question, but if you're listening to me, you want to just join the conversation, you want to send a text, you want to call me, the number is 0544321019 on WhatsApp, 0544321019, or you can call us on 030395661, 030395661, or you can send us a message or drop a comment on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Now, Ni, do you think that of course, when we enter into the month of March, we throw a lot of spotlight on Ghanaian stuff. Do you think the tourism operators and businesses are really benefiting from this?
Big question. I think that one of the things, honestly, we haven't promoted very much is domestic tourism. And so people are trying to do that, especially with the whole Ghana Month discussion, so that people will take up tours and all of that. So I don't have the statistics, so I can't really tell for a fact that whether the tour operators and the people who work within the tourism ecosystem are benefiting from the Ghana Month. And that is why we are pushing the agenda that once we promote it well, once we push it well, the value chain will trickle down, including even those who provide ancillary services, like the taxi drivers, the choba operators, and everybody would get their benefit from it. Because once you tell people that already the choba operators get patronage, but once they're telling people that in the month of March, we eat Ghana.
Yeah.
I mean, once we are eating Ghana, it means that the patronage is going to increase much more.
That's true.
So then everybody is going to get their bite of it. So I think that for now, I can't say for a fact whether the tourism industry is sort of benefiting from it, because I don't have the statistics to show. GTA will be the people to show us some data or something. But when you scan around, because I roam around a lot, you naturally know that Ghanaians, whether it's a Ghana Month or not, people are enjoying themselves regardless. You go out on a Friday night. I was out this Friday night till about 12, and everywhere is packed. Everywhere I drove to a restaurant called Pit something. So at Laboni.
Okay.
A very nice restaurant. Everywhere is packed. Like on my way there, I saw different cars parked everywhere. Zen Gardens, this, that. So people are enjoying themselves already. But I'm sure that once we make it a policy and we push it, maybe the people within the value chain will enjoy more.
Right. And I mean, what you were talking about Friday and all of that. Even this morning on my way to work, somewhere just easily gone here. There are people still partying, and they are now. I'm sure they are now going home and all of that. And because of the holidays as well. Well, of course, we've established that government is not really doing much in that space. Let's talk about the role of the private sector. Do you think they are embracing it? Because I think Ghana Month shouldn't be just about celebration. I think it should benefit us commercially. Do you think, what role does the private sector, or what can the private sector do in this particular space? I know we've talked about businesses getting involved, which involves the private sector. What other things, Michael?
Well, I think private sector plays a huge role in our development altogether. And projecting Ghana to, they still have a lot to do. When you take how when you look at other countries and how their tourist attractions are advertised on news channels like the BBCs and the Al Jazeeras and all that, I believe they have some sponsorship from private entities aside government to go that far. They can help us with that.
Okay.
Right? Such that maybe on a BBC News program, when they take a break, it's Visit Ghana. Then maybe a 1-minute video of one of our tourist attractions or several of our tourist attractions at once in a video. Government may not be able to sponsor that because of the cost involved, but private sector can get involved. Private sector includes the media. The media can ask for that one when it comes to the area of tourism. It goes beyond Ghana Month throughout the year. They can just allocate 1 minute free publicity for our tourist attractions on their television channels.
I see Ni nodding.
Exactly. It won't cost too much for them to do it, right? So for private sector, even as they are concerned about their profit, they should know that they are working in Ghana, and it is projecting Ghana is another way of attracting investors into the country, right? Such that you are not only publicizing your business, you are also publicizing the country itself where you operate, so that they get to see locations they can visit when they come to meet you for business and everything. So they really play a huge role, and they will help us a lot if they take it personal to push our country forward.
Right. You have something to add?
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, of course, they say the private sector is the driver of whatever. But, I mean, on a more serious note, if the private sector takes it, it would push, because, you see, imagine our radio stations in Ghana for Ghana Month are doing something, a fair, something like that. It would be able to push the whole agenda. But there must be a policy. There must be something written down and coming up from government, so that now private sector can also take it and then help. And I don't know if the Muslims holiday is always going to fall in March, April, but whatever it is, we should be able to find a space, you know, and push the whole agenda, so that we can generate value from it. Because, you see, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
This is really, really a good thing. And I think that as a destination, like you said, we do not promote our destinations well. If we don't have money to go to Al Jazeera and all these other places to promote our destination, can we promote our destinations on our local TV? So, for example, you pick a lesser known destination and talk about it.
Randomly.
So, have you visited the Frederick's Gift Slave Plantation in Abokobi, in a village called Sesame? Most people don't know.
I don't even know.
Yes, you project
Michael,
it. You talk about
I've never heard
about the village, and I mean, it was a Danish plantation where a lot of slaves that were brought in actually had to experiment in coffee, cocoa, and they built the plantation in such a way that when you stand on top of their tower or the fort, you can see Christiansborg Castle from there.
Wow.
You know, and when you go to Abokobi, it is there. When you go to the village of Pongpo, Abokobi, inside Abokobi, there's another Gan village called Sesame.
A village in Accra.
Yeah, called Sesame. And you see, so these attractions are there. They are there, and they are lesser known attractions. And most people will say, oh, but I don't know this is here. Oh, I don't know this is here. You know, are we promoting it enough? How many people know? That's how come when people get money, they put the money together and go to Dubai. Because in their mind, there is nothing in Ghana.
And I think that's why your show exists.
That's why my show exists.
We're going to talk about that before we go off the show this morning. You're going to throw a bit more light on your show, and then people get to hear, they can listen and also get to know what exists beyond what we just know about, right? Okay, now let's talk about our educational system. Now, when you look at the US, they have what they call the Black History Month, which is usually in February. And when it gets to that time, the education, all through our school, they prioritize cultural stuff. Really, it's something that is very heavy when around that period. Do you think we are doing that for Ghana Month? Because when I was in GHS, I didn't know about anything called Ghana Month. Do you think we are doing much, Michael?
I must say that over there too, we are lacking. You know, education is so important to the extent that if we are able to push our culture through that space, it's going to serve us for a long time to come. Because generations who will pass through all the schools will get to know something about our culture, right? So we really have to do a lot when it comes to that area. I attended Achimota School, and over there in March, we have our Founders Day celebrations. Fine. Normally, we should just celebrate the 3 founders of the school and then move on. But we have this cultural display on the Deba, the Founders Day Deba, on the Saturday of the celebration, where we are divided. So throughout the term, that period, we are divided into cultural groups. We have the Northern group, we have the Akan group, we have the Ever group, the Ghana group, and we are rehearsing, learning a particular dance, learning music in that language. So we are all rehearsing during that period. And then we display
the whole school.
The whole school. Everybody is involved. Maybe except the day students who have to go home. Everybody takes part in that activity. And then on Founders Day, during the Deba on the Saturday, we display. How many schools do this? Right? How many schools do this? Because of that activity going through for 3 years, I still remember some of the, the songs we learned, the Akan songs we learned, the Ever songs that we learned and all that. If many schools as possible are able to embrace this. I believe those who have knowledge about our culture, our music, our dance, there are so many of such people around.
Yeah.
The schools can employ them so that they teach that either as a subject or even take advantage of special events that the schools organize so that they train the children on it. It's going to do us a lot of good so that at least through the school system, we are able to put in the understanding of our culture and our heritage into them. Then they carry it along for as long as possible.
Right.
So in the educational sector, there's still a lot to do.
But beyond the schools doing it, because this is Achimota School and you are doing it, I think government should also have a role to play in there, ensuring that we do that. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree. It has to be in our curriculum. I mean, one of the questions a lot of people have asked, especially tourists, is that, like, people see me as a historian and they would ask, do you learn this in school? I said, no. My curiosity and because of my job, I had to, in my library at home, I have more historical novels than any other book. I'm always buying books and reading and researching.
Right.
So we don't have it. You know, like how many of us studied anything about slavery?
No.
How many of you knew anything about the forts and castles, even when we're in SHS? It's not there. I think that the new curriculum they've developed, I was part of a team that also developed some courses. I think CTVET and other people are trying to put something like this in our curriculum, even at the basic level all the way up. It would help a lot. So that people, because the more you read about your people, and for me, what even made me develop much interest in this country is because I read government in SS.
Right.
So when you read government, it opens your mind a little bit into the history. You know, there's the element of government and then the historical part of government. And so when you read it, at least that gives you some greater perspective. But outside of that, then that's it. So if you don't go to the university to read history or go to Legon African Studies Department to study something in this relation to the, you have absolutely no knowledge, so much knowledge about this country. So I think that our curriculum has to change. They have to include some of these things. Those the social studies. There should be bits and pieces of these, you know. Yeah. You know, Alido and the little goat and all these things that we learned. You see how it's stuck in our brains. Yeah. But can you imagine if, like, we had stories about great Ghanaian heroes and these other things, you know, the forts, the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade before the arrival of the Europeans. There's a research paper I'm doing right now. It's called Decolonization of Storytelling. Where we magnify the European stories more than our own stories. So we don't tell our own stories. So if anybody wants to tell you about the history of Ghana, they don't tell you how Ghana was or how we were even before the arrival of the Europeans. We actually credit more of the European work here. That's where we start our narration from. But the question is, who were we? What was our culture? What was our way of living? The Guans were known to be the first people that were here. Who were they? How were they living as Guans? What was their culture? What was their history? What was their architecture? Because I don't think they didn't have any architecture or any plan. Maybe they were not just living in trees and stones and all. What was the architecture? You know? And even if you go into history, during the Kintampo years, the things that happen, how people develop farm implements with stones and stuff like that. So there's a lot to tell. But if it is not in our books that people can read at the basic level while they are growing up, we'll grow up and we'll not have any knowledge about ourselves.
But I think that the big problem with that, we not knowing those details, I mean, beyond education, is also our oral tradition. I think we are unable to document things, really. We only tell, and then it gets twisted as time goes on. Even in our curriculum today, we see that there are certain narratives that are being purported, portrayed in there because it favors one particular group of people, maybe a political party, and then they are trying to tell their story in their books. And I think we saw some things like that.
And it's everywhere. You know, like, one of the things that still shocks me, and I don't see why we are still having change, is, for example, the name Ashanti. That's not the word. The original word is Asante. That's how come people have Asante as their surname, because
And
in those
mean
days
that we say Asante.
So if the word is Asante, why are you calling the region Ashanti? Because when the British were writing our history, they wrote it as Ashanti. And we know that the original word is Asante. You know, and in those days, because there were no surnames, they were calling people by their tribe names. That's how come Asante is a surname. So Kojo Kwame Dagati, you know, this Frafra. So those were the surnames. So they mention your name, and so this is the Europeanization of what I am talking about. You know that the original word is Asante. Why don't you change the region to Asante region, but you say Ashanti region? Because when somebody was writing the history of Ghana, in his book he wrote Ashanti. So it has come to stay. But you know that the original word is Asante. So these are some of the things. And for me, I think this is why our curriculum and our educational sector, we ourselves need a decolonization of our minds, honestly, to help us. Because we think too, you know, I did some interview with a certain man who, at the time, myself, may so rest in peace, Steve Abebu. We went to Sesame, and we did an interview with a man who knows the history of places and how the names had come to stay. You will be shocked the number of places and how we've corrupted those names to mean some certain things. You'll be shocked. So that's the challenge.
So how do we do that? How do we ensure that these things don't get missing? How do we put that in our educational curriculum?
I think first of all, every country has its own culture,
right?
And we pass it on from generation to generation, and by passing it on, it has to be in your prints. Okay. People must read about it. People must hear about it. It should be taught in our classrooms. For example, we the Gans are now fighting because the Gan language is getting washed away because we live in the capital. So many people cannot speak Gan because we've changed the whole policy that the jurisdiction in which you are, you learn the language that is there. It only makes sense that you live in Accra, and if there's any local language you need to learn from the secondary schools and all of that, it has to be Gan.
Yeah. But there are schools teaching Chi in Accra.
Yes.
That's
some
wrong.
Some schools don't teach Gan at
You see,
all.
that is wrong. Can you imagine you going to Ashanti region, schooling in Ashanti region, and then they are teaching you Gan or Ewede?
No, it doesn't happen.
It's a mismatch. It's a mismatch. You know, so the in the new curriculum that they are developing, some of these things has to be in there to talk about our history, to talk about our culture. It should be there. It should be in the curriculum so that we can learn it as we grow up. Because once we are young, it's even very easy for us to absorb things in our head than when we start growing old. Because for me, I thank God that I did my PhD before I got to a certain stage. Because else I won't be able to do it. Charlie, right now, man is thinking about money and chasing after other things. You get my point. And then even the whole thing of absorbing things in your head and producing it, as you keep growing, you realize that you are losing it a little. So if these children can learn these things about our history, our culture, and what makes us authentically unique at this level, it would help us as we grow.
Right, we have just about 27 minutes to go. This is the Business Breakfast on Z. If you just tuned in, this morning we're having a conversation on Ghana Month celebration, whether it is really fulfilling its purpose. And you can join a conversation on 0544321019, 0544321019. Send me a WhatsApp and I'll do well to read it for you. And you can as well call me on 030395661, 030395661, or you can engage us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Instagram, Facebook, and X, ZFMGH. Well, gentlemen, let's continue the conversation now. Ghana Month would usually just end in the month of March, and the 31st. Once we are done, it is done.
It's done
till next year. How do we ensure that it doesn't stick to just the month of March, but we still begin to see things beyond the month of March? I know we'll talk about African prints, and of course we wear it even beyond, but how do we wear it with a consciousness that I am still representing Ghana, I'm still trying to promote Ghana? How do we do that?
Well, I think we need to continue with the publicity, right? We have to make Ghana's history and Ghana's culture as visible as possible constantly. We shouldn't wait till March. We shouldn't wait till Independence Day or something. We shouldn't wait till we have maybe a national holiday or something, or during the period of a traditional festival or something. It should be constantly publicized. Today, the internet is the world, right?
Yeah.
Everyone uses the internet.
Yeah.
So if maybe someone scrolls 10 posts a day, and out of those 10 posts, he sees about 3 or 4 of those posts being related to Ghana, right? It will go a long way to help us. Even, let me talk about the African prints. We wear them, but we don't even know their names, right? It took a while for me to realize that there are certain very, very significant names attached to these African prints that we wear. We don't know about it, right? So we have to take it while we wait and hope that government implements policy towards ensuring that the Ghana month or the advancement of our history and our culture continues. We should do the little things through social media posts, through education, on our radios and our television programs. We set out some time, maybe during the during the breakfast show. You can allocate some 2 minutes to talk about something Ghanaian. A historic event that took place, something about our tradition, something about the festival. We need to make sure that we drum it home as far as possible,
right,
so that we can all hear about it and then get used to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a need for a lot of media representation.
Yes.
Right. Now, one of the very, very important areas, or channels we can do this is through our films and our TV. Are we doing much in those areas, Lee?
We are not doing bad, and we are not doing that well as well, because we don't have the infrastructure. It's very expensive producing things. I'm a playwright, and I can tell you for a fact, to do one show at the National Theatre, the amount is overly crazy. You know, I do my shows sometimes at Alliance Francaise. The venue is 18,000 per night. 18,000. A place that even doesn't have a large capacity. No, not even the National Theatre. Alliance Francaise, 18,000.
That's small place.
That's small place per show. And you are sitting like 300, 400 people per show.
So how much can you even charge?
Exactly. How much are you charging at the gate to even make that amount of money pay your cast? You are going to build a set. You have to do publicity, and so on and so forth. So the creative arts itself is suffering a lot. A lot. Recently, I did a play called Nkrumah of Africa, a very big production on Kwame Nkrumah. It was a very largely patronized show, and someone approached me and said, "Can we do something for Nkrumah? Let's do a film, because there's no film on Nkrumah." That's a big project. To do a film about Nkrumah should be Hollywood standard. Now, who is going to fund it? Who? You're talking about millions of dollars to be able to do that film, so it can show on Netflix, and then you can recoup some of your funding. So the creative arts industry itself is suffering. But I think that on a very low scale, we've always tried to do things that projects Ghana. We've done it in our music, in our dance pieces, and all of that. And I think that the University of Ghana School of Performing Arts is also doing its best, teaching people every now and then. Once you are in the music department, the dance department, or the theater arts department, you know that you're going to learn something about Ghana. So on that level, we are trying. But if we have to do something on a very large scale, to put, and that's where I'm pushing, that let's project the Ghanaian. Look at how Nelson Mandela has been projected. There's a film on him. But who will do it? Maybe Idris Elba is coming to build a whole movie studio in Ghana. So let's pray that. And even then, I even heard him talking to the president in that interview that I saw online, and telling him that, Charlie, when we do this and we are coming, you have to watch the task and the tax when we are bringing in equipment and all of that. Because for the Ghanaian, they want to shoot you down and kill you. You know, so they look at the amount of taxes we've paid. So imagine they built this studio here, and Idris was telling the president that if I tell Apple that I'm coming to shoot a movie here, at least they would come. Because I have told them I want to. Maybe the movie is set in America, but the studio is in Ghana. We are doing it here.
Yeah.
But the question is, would you give me tax rebate on all these things that I'm bringing in? How much that movie I'm coming to film here, what it will do to the economy of Ghana? So that is where the discussion has to go, and that's where we have to go. But for the people in the creative arts, we are all keeping up appearances because it is not easy. If you check, most of the film producers are all dead. They're dead. Haki Films, Venus Films. Do we hear anything from them?
Anything.
Yes.
I was telling somebody, I think on Friday or so, that these days even Kumawood, I'm not really seeing Kumawood like we used to.
It is seriously capital intensive. It's seriously Imagine you're shooting a movie and you have, let's say, 20 cast, and you're even paying everybody 1,000 Ghana. Let's say 1,000. Let me not even talk plenty. You have top actors, the Ajete Anand, Fifi Coleman, all these people. You are paying, let's say, not a disrespect to them, but this is hypothetical. You are paying each one of them 1,000 Ghana. Multiply the 1,000 Ghana by the 20 people. See how much money you are using to pay a cast. Though, when they come on set, you have to give them food. And then you are renting equipment to shoot.
And even the location.
Paying for location. It's a lot. It's a lot. So there isn't any help. So you make your money do it. So that's where the challenge is.
I see. Mike, you have something to add?
Well, government has to support the creative sector seriously, because when you follow Europe and America, how much they invest in their film industry, millions, and even they go into the billions of dollars, right? And we are not able to, start something with the little that we have. So I believe government has to help. I think the NDC government in its manifesto talks about the Black Star experience.
I think I've heard something along.
So
they're about to launch it.
So I'm hoping that through that initiative, it will give some hope to the creative agents, because that is one sure way of getting our culture out there, right? No matter what we do with social media, with Ghana Month, our movies are one sure way of putting our culture, our history out there for everyone to see. So we need to support. We need to support.
Very important. Now, let me come to Nii. Now, I know you do some of these things on your show. Yes, let's talk about your show a bit. It's Roots and Routes. Is that a pronunciation?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's basically a show. I mean, maybe I would say, I don't know, it's the first tourism and hospitality show on radio. So over the years being working in the industry and all that, I've realized that there isn't a show that is just dedicated to the tourism and hospitality industry. So thank God ZFM accepted this and for us to do this. So it's purely tourism and hospitality. Wow. And of course, the creative arts also has a way that also provides what we call in tourism ancillary services for the tourism and hospitality. So by extension, we also accept things from the creative arts space. And so we discuss everything that the industry need to know and discuss, like if you want to know more about Ghana, you want to know more about the creative, the tourism and hospitality space, like this is a show you should listen to because it's very interactive. And I do this show with my friend Priscilla Wellington. We host the show together.
Wow.
And it's
when is it?
It's on Saturdays. It's on Saturdays, 1 to 2 p.m. We are still looking at if we would extend the time a little bit because people feel like the 1 hour is not enough. Yeah, because there's like this Saturday we had a very, very important guest on our show. He's a historical architect, and we have to delve into colonial buildings in Ghana. and their significance and why it's important to preserve some of these buildings. Because of urbanization, we are just destroying all our old buildings and all of that. And so we went into those discussions to understand, you know, the nuances and how these things, like now they are saying the art center would, I don't know whether it will go or not, because they are putting up a Marine Drive. You go to Jamestown, the CV Hotel is no more, which was the first hotel built in Accra. And so there's a lot. There's a lot. And this is what the show stands for us to be able to go into tourism, hospitality, and discuss some of the major issues that are there.
Right. Here on Z 101.9 FM.
Here on Z
Saturday,
101.9.
1 to 2 p.m.
Saturdays.
Every Saturday.
Every Saturday, 1 to 2 p.m.
Wow.
Once you tune in, you would hear my voice and the voice of Priscilla Wellington.
Right, right.
And Priscilla is also a very powerful lady when it comes to the hospitality space.
Wow.
She's taking this whole customer service thing to the next level. And so far, I would say that the show has been well received. We're only 2 months into the show, and we've had so many listeners.
Wow.
The feedback we get is awesome, you know, and it's growing, and we hope that we'll take it to another level in the coming days.
So who should listen?
I think that every curious Ghanaian who wants to know more about the history, the culture, wants to know more about what happens within the tourism space, because the sort of guests we bring on the show are top tourism and hospitality
not regular people.
You know, we do bring, but so far we like to bring in the experts so that we can handle the situation from that angle. So, for example, last week, as I said, we brought in architect Kojo Durban, and Kojo is amazing. He just restored one of the Basel Mission buildings that was just getting spoiled at Osu Salem. And if you listen to, I mean, if you didn't listen to our show last week, just go on YouTube and just look for ZFM Route and Route and listen to the interview with Kojo Durban. You learn a lot. You even know why the Independence Arc was built and the significance of the Independence Arc. You know, so this is a kind of show that, for me, I feel every young Ghanaian, every older Ghanaian who is curious about knowing more about our country should listen, because the experts we bring on the show, these are people who know what they do and all of that.
Right. So Route and Route, your Saturday just got better, 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. with Ni Ayi and Priscilla Wellington.
Priscilla Wellington.
It's a great show. You must do well to listen to. Very educative, very insightful, and very revealing. Because I'll go and check the video from Saturday, so that I get to pick a thing or two from that. Right, gentlemen, we have to go. Yes, maybe I'll take your final thoughts, and then we try to wrap up here this morning. Michael.
First of all, I want to use this opportunity to plead with management to increase the Route and Route time, because it sounds like a very, 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 very important.
I'm sure management is
yes. But aside that, I want to encourage all Ghanaians, especially the young people, that we shouldn't be the generation that loses our culture and our identity as a people, right? We need to take up the task of getting to know our country better and better going forward. And then also, I want to encourage government and private sector to make use of our historians and people who have spent their time and their energies researching into our history. Our brother Niai, like this, is well versed in our culture,
very well versed.
But how often will you hear that someone is taking interest in inviting him to talk more about our culture and our history? And we have so many of such people in this country who have studied PhDs in the universities, all on our history. So it's about time we get close to these people, give them the opportunity and the platform to speak more about Ghana, so that we can together go beyond our oral tradition. And document things, create textbooks, create a curriculum that speaks of Ghana, that puts Ghana forward. Then let's continue to do more to also put our nation on the map, so that the rest of the world can see what Ghana is made of. And I believe we'll go far.
All right. Ni?
I also conclude on by standing exactly where he stood, by saying that, there's hope for this country,
Yeah.
and our young folks should also be very interested and curious in learning about our culture and our heritage. You know, if you travel abroad a little bit, you see that it is so heartwarming when you walk on the street and you see somebody, the person asks you, "Would you Ghana?" Say, yeah. It's like the joy that floods your heart, like, and then you forget about everything. You're speaking Ghana, you're speaking Chi, and you are catching up, and it's as if you know each other. That joy, you know. So can you imagine you go on in a program and you mention your name and they go like, "Oh, you're Ghana, yeah, you Ghana, no, you're there," and then I'm sorry, I can't speak Ghana. That is some way. So the thing is that we should try as much as possible to know our space, know who we are, know our culture, know our history. We must be that curious, you know. And if you're a parent and you don't know it, push your children to read more about it, to know it, because this is the only thing we have. And as we rightly stated in conclusion, the government should push the Ghana Month onto another level by coming up with a policy, and that let's push this agenda so that we can also create some more sense of identity for ourselves. And a very big shout out to my beautiful wife, who I think may be listening to me now.
All right, you may want to put out your social media platform. Michael, you also have a beautiful wife somewhere.
No.
All right, you want to put out your social media just in case somebody wants to get in touch.
Okay, so on Instagram it's at Afolabi Michael 1, and then on Facebook it's Michael Akpene Afolabi.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
For me, on Facebook is Ni Ayi Solomon. The Ayi is AYI. So Ni Ayi Solomon on Facebook. On Instagram is Ni Soul. So the soul is SOL. So Ni Soul, SOL. And then on X is at Papani. The Papa is PAPAH. PAPAH. Papani.
Okay.
At Papani. Basically, that's it.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a very enlightening conversation, and I'm so grateful that you two came to help me have this very important conversation. Of course, one thing is clear from all that we have said this morning, that Ghana Heritage Month is a very great initiative, but it is, its true impact depends on we sustaining the lessons beyond the month of March, and we must ensure that our traditions are not just celebrated but deeply embedded in our daily lives, our economy and education system. A big thank you to my wonderful guest Michael Afolabi, is our news review. He joins us on the news review from time to time. He's a news review pundit, and also Ni Ayi Solomon is the host of Root and Route. And you must do well to listen to the show every Saturday 1 to 2 p.m. Get some insights on what Ghana is doing in the tourism and also hospitality space, and what we must do going forward. So this is how we wrap up today's show on the Business Breakfast on Z. It's been great hosting you right from 6 a.m. Till now. Now we're going to get into another show, which is The Brighter Side with NYA, the brand. Please do well to listen. My name is Nitra Biham. Until we meet again tomorrow, enjoy the holiday and make sure that you stay safe. See you.